What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. So, I made a video a while back about losing Norman Powell. And I talked about it on multiple videos about losing Norman Powell. And here, you get a Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal looked not good. Really no game for the Clippers. Maybe one game, of course, maybe, but definitely not an ideal situation that it looked like. It didn't look promising for Bradley Beal. And now I know the questions are going to come up. Why did you go after Bradley Beal when you had Norman Powell? I say the same thing. I said the same thing. Maybe in different wording, but I said the same thing in so many words. Bradley Beal's a good player, always have been a good player. I never trusted him as far as a winner. But a situation where the Clippers get Bradley Beal on the team, we all had to ride with it. We all had to, whoever they put on the roster, if you're riding for this team, you got to ride for whoever they pick or whoever they pick up. And Bradley Beal was the option they chose, and they chose to let go of Norman Powell or let him walk. And, it's been too many situations with the Clippers like this over the years where they make bad decisions. And I'm not saying that it couldn't have happened to Norman Powell if he played for the Clippers. He could have possibly got, a hip injury or hurt for the rest of the season or something like that. But going by the history, Norman Powell is more healthier than somebody like Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal's a better player overall, career-wise, but he's not a more healthier player and a more consistent player. Even though Norman Powell's had his share of injuries, but it's never been nothing major, you know what I mean? So when you have players with major injuries, you have to be wary when you actually bring them onto your roster and onto your team, your organization, because you don't know the severity of how their injuries affected them long term before you sign them to your team. And you don't know with an aging star player like a Bradley Beal, you don't know what you're getting out of him, especially when you looked at him last year on the Suns and he looked really discombobulated and he looked out of place a lot of games. Partly the reason why I think the Suns didn't make the playoffs, along with, Kevin Durant not being the leader he needs to be. But that's another story for another day. But either way, you're stuck here with Bradley Beal. Now he's hurt, out for the season, maybe career ending, since he's been playing the league for a long time, forever, in most people's minds. And then on top of that, you're stuck with the fact of, your main superstar, Kawhi Leonard's going to be out at least a few more games. Who knows how bad his foot or ankle sprain is? But obviously it's pretty bad if it's held him out this many games. I thought maybe 2 games at the most, maybe a third. But it looks like he's going to be out for the next few games also. Maybe in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, they'll reevaluate him. It's kind of what I'm hearing. But hopefully, maybe he'll come back sooner. But if not, it's really looking dim for the Clippers. You're 3-8. You're playing the Dallas Mavericks tonight. They're 3-9. That's the one team I can say the Clippers technically actually are better than record-wise. But after tonight, it might be a different story. But the one thing I will say is the fact that they're playing the Dallas Mavericks tonight, if Anthony Davis plays, they have a chance to view him a little bit more and see how much he has left up in person if he decides to play or if he is allowed to play, which I'm not sure. But either way, they might actually have to go out for the Anthony Davis trade. They actually might have to. I know I made a video on this the other day. You can check it out. But they actually might have to, go for that. Because also when you look at it, I'm pretty sure a lot of Clippers fans are not very much pleased with Brook Lopez either. I've been reading some sites and things like that. I've been watching Brook Lopez as well. I think he still has a little bit of basketball left in him, but I can honestly see why the Bucks parted ways with him as easily as they did, because there's just not a lot left there. It just isn't. So, with that being said, it's almost like the Clippers are, too old to build themselves back up and try to, get the season back on track. Because, as I said, as the season goes on, it gets tougher and the Clippers are getting older and they're not getting any younger. So, this team, this squad, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to find a way to pick themselves back up. But, with the young talent that they do have mixed in with this older group, I thought maybe it might balance out a little bit more. Now, there again, Ty Lue did say about 10 to 15 games, but it's hard to see that vision of them finding themselves within 10 to 15 games when you're 12 games in, just about in the season, 11, 12 games in the season, and you're 3-8, and Kawhi is not there. Bradley Beal's out for the season. People are skeptical about certain players like a Brook Lopez on the team and him not looking like he did 3-4 years ago, which is the reason why the Bucks easily parted ways with him or let him go. And now you're looking at a Clippers team where Ty Lue is there again, is trying to, piece things together and keep it going and try to compete. And I'm not a big fan of Ty Lue's coaching anyway, but I will say it is hard to piece together a championship team when that's the direction you're trying to go. It's very hard to do that. Super hard. I don't even know exactly what direction he's going to take, but I mean, he has to just find guys that has dog fight competitiveness in them, and hopefully that'll translate on the court. And everybody on the team, I feel like, has at least a piece of those things or those attributes in them, but it's just not enough to help them, be gritty enough to eke out some wins. The other night, you give up 55 and like 12 or 55 and 16, I think, to Jokic. It looked, it's almost like the Clippers let him score just so they could try to stop everybody else, which really isn't the way to go, because if you let him score and get 8, 10 plus assists, you're not going to beat the Nuggets, especially. You just can't. So, the Clippers are shorthanded, and they always seem sort of shorthanded. And it's been like this the whole Kawhi era. And it's just not been a good ride. Now, fortunately for Kawhi, as I said before, Kawhi has multiple championships. So if he leaves the operation or the situation, it hurts him because he wants to win for this organization. But it doesn't hurt him long term because he's already been classified, known, and viewed as a winner because he's won for other organizations, being the main guy. But his injuries over the years have really slowed the Clippers' momentum, but also the coaching, not being able to make adjustments from Ty Lue's part, not putting guys in the right position to be successful. And on top of that, just trying to plug pieces in and out the lineup, it just doesn't work. So if I were the Clippers, I probably would actually go out and try to maybe look for the Anthony Davis trade. I know it might be a long shot, but really, it might be the best route they can take. I'm pretty sure that if the Mavericks did make the trade with them, as I said the other day in my other video, they probably would want the likes or the services of a Chris Dunn and a DJ. But I personally probably wouldn't give up those two for Anthony Davis. But the Clippers have been known to do some crazy things. They really have. And, the Clippers try to always seem to get, they always seem to try to get like a star player in there who's out of their prime. That's what it seems like to me. You're not getting anybody in there that has youth on their side and possibly any superstardom to them. They're just not doing that. And the only superstar they got to come there was Kawhi, and that's questionable to a lot of people because a lot of people thought Kawhi was going to the Lakers, but he probably didn't go to the Lakers because he didn't want to play under LeBron James, if we're being honest. So not saying he didn't like the Clippers and what they had to offer, but, at the same time, it looks harder this way. It really does. And I hate it for Kawhi. I hate it for this team. And like I said, each year, the problem with the Clippers is each year they're trying to add players instead of keeping the same roster they have and build off of what they have. Like this year, you'll see all these players on the team this year, and then by next year, their roster will look completely 360 different. And that's the problem. You're not building continuity if you're just plugging in players each year, different players into this organization each year, and just expect them to go out there and build chemistry within the season and go make a run for the championship. It just doesn't work that way sometimes. Sometimes it takes a 2-3 year window for a team to build that chemistry to win a championship. Even back in the day with the Miami Heat, when LeBron went to the Heat, they lost their first year in the finals to the Dallas Mavericks, which was one of the worst losses in NBA history, especially on that big of a stage. But at the same time, it's one of those situations where sometimes it takes time. You have to wait 2-3 years and keep the same exact roster and keep building and keep striving and try to win. And hopefully guys stay healthy. But the Clippers, they just try to go out and get new players, a new player here and there every single season seem like, and try to add this one. It went from Westbrook to Harden to Paul George to this one to that one. It's like, I know you're trying to win, but at the same time, you got to try to, build that continuity with who you have. And hopefully they build enough where they stay healthy and make a run. Sometimes it takes 2 to 3 years, but that's the risk you have to take. And I don't think the Clippers are trying to, in such win now mode. They're making picks and they're making decisions off desperation, and it's just not panning out for them. And I hope that things change with this team. I really do. But at the same time, it's not looking good. I don't know when Kawhi's coming back. Nobody knows. Bradley Beal's not coming back. Chris Paul is like super old. Brook Lopez he looks older than he's ever looked on the court in his life. He's old. They just look beat. They look beat before the games even start. And that's the problem. I knew it was going to be a huge issue this season when I looked at them play the season opener against Utah. There's no way Utah should have beat them that handily. Not a young team like that with no experience, no playoff experience players, really not many veterans, and a team that's really not figured things out yet, if they ever will. But they look like a championship team against the Clippers, and so has a lot of other teams. So, I mean, I don't want to say they made a mistake with Bradley Beal. You could say that. But, I mean, Norman Powell could have got injured the exact same way if he stayed on the Clippers or something like that. But I will say this. I would have rather them kept Norman Powell just for the camaraderie and chemistry part. Keep the same team, keep the same roster, and keep it going. You look at the Nuggets. They're a prime example. They let go of some players, and they got Bruce Brown back. But, I mean, they let go of some players, but they kept their core. They kept Jokic, Murray, and Aaron Gordon, and they had MPJ up until last year, but they pretty much kept that core together for years, which is the reason why they've seen a lot of success, and they've won a championship, and they've been a tough out every single year in the playoffs. And I think that's what the Clippers have to do. You got to have these certain core players that you keep, and they're non-tradable no matter what, and you just build around them and what they have. But I mean, going from player to player, trying to find an old superstar, old veteran, it can be good if it works out, but it could be atrocious if it doesn't, especially if it results in injuries like this one with Bradley Beal. I don't know where Bradley Beal goes from here, but if I were him, I'd probably just go ahead and try to retire. I don't really see much of his career really being useful for any team, not a team trying to win anyway. So, I mean, it is what it is there. Hopefully they can find somebody to replace him and, kind of, because you got to kind of make up for those Norman Powell points that you're not getting now. And there's really no third guy. If your third guy is John Collins, well, I'm not sure about your chances of winning a championship. I just don't know. But we'll see what happens with this team. Hopefully they can get a victory tonight against the Mavericks, a team they're currently better than record-wise, but I don't know. Totality-wise, I'm not sure. But, I mean, it's looking bad. I'm not even sure this is a play-in tournament team, let alone a playoff team.